So the NFL trade deadline is less than 2 weeks away, and all the rumors are flying in here as we enter week number 8. We're starting to find out where teams are at in their season. We have teams that are not off to a good start that have some pending free agents that they may sell off at the deadline, and we have some teams that may think their window is closing, but this could be the last year of contention that may be buying at the deadline. So I'm going to be reacting to this Sporting News article here, which is best NFL trade deadline deals for all 32 teams to make, including Kirk Cousins to the Jets, Max Crosby to the Cowboys. And you can let me know if you like the trade that this article came up with. I'll leave a link to it in the description, or you can let me know if you dislike the idea. I think it's cool to get another perspective other than my own, because I did do like 15 trades that I'd like to see happen last week. You should check that video out. Shout out to Vinny for this article. So let's get into this. It's going to be, it looks like alphabetical order. We're going to start off with the Arizona Cardinals and then go to the Atlanta Falcons. So it's not by division. So if you want to jump to your favorite team, that's the way to go. And the Arizona Cardinals, who are 2-5 this year, while they are at the bottom of the NFC West, the top 3 teams are all very good this year, and the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers, at least record-wise right now. And the best deal for them to make is trading Michael Wilson to the Browns. The Cardinals don't have a lot of great assets, so maybe just getting one off their books. But here's moving off one of their young wasted talents who's had a limited role. I guess he's a pending re-agent, not a free agent. Shout out to that spelling error there. But yeah, Michael Wilson on the Browns. I mean, I don't really know if that's an addition the Browns really need. Michael Wilson, I actually think, could be a solid receiver in this league if he was in a better system, maybe had better quarterback play. I don't know if that's going to happen in Cleveland, where you're probably downgrading quarterback play going, well, you definitely are going from Kyler Murray to Dylan Gabriel. You might be going down an OC play. You might not. It doesn't really matter, I think, too much because of the QB downgrade. And he's also got to fight for touches with Fannin, Njoku, Cedric Tillman when he's healthy, Jerry Jeudy as well. I don't really think that's a recipe for success for Michael Wilson. If there is a trade for the Cardinals to recoup some assets, call up the Pittsburgh Steelers, call up the New England Patriots, heck, call up the New York Giants. I think one of those wide receiver needy teams would just be a better fit for Michael Wilson in general. They also say other players to watch, Jalen Thompson and Calais Campbell. Campbell makes a ton of sense to get moved at the deadline, especially if the Cardinals lose another game by the deadline. The Atlanta Falcons are trading Kirk Cousins to the Jets. I mean, if the Jets were like 3-4, even 2-5, 0-7, I don't think the Jets should be buying whatsoever at the deadline. I know the Jets need a lot of good players and they don't have many on their roster right now, but I feel like the Jets may go into the direction more so of trading away like a Breece Hall, trading away a Jermaine Johnson, and I just don't know if it's really worth it. It will come with an Arch Manning reward with the Texas top QB prospect waiting to stay in school. I mean, the Jets are probably going to draft a quarterback, right? I don't think you can go into next year's season with Justin Fields. Maybe they get a different veteran in the offseason. Maybe that is Kirk Cousins. I feel like the Jets, especially if they get number 1, are probably going to draft Fernando Mendoza right now. I feel like it's the favorite to go 1-1. I mean, Dante Moore could still go high in the draft. I don't know if Lenore Sellers is going to be a first-round pick at this point, or Garrett Nussmeier. Who knows? Ty Simpson, though, he's definitely rising up draft boards at the moment. I would say Jets do not trade for Kirk Cousins here at the deadline. That one doesn't really make a lot of sense. For the Baltimore Ravens, trading for Jalen Phillips here. The Ravens shook up their defensive front by trading Odafe Owe, but they need something to add real impact for Zach Orr's struggling unit. Yeah, the Ravens defense has been pretty bad this year. Now, some of that can be on injuries with like Marlon being banged up, Nate Wiggins at times, Roquan Smith, who's still very important to this Ravens defense, no matter how disappointing he's been this year. Kyle Van Noy, obviously Madubuike being out for the year was a massive loss. I don't know if the Ravens, like these names he lists, is okay. Jalen Phillips might still cost you a lot. Like he's just 2 years removed from like a really good breakout season, and he's been banged up over the last year or so. I don't know if the Dolphins would want to just sell low on his value. Maybe they'd rather move like a Bradley Chubb. Jeffrey Simmons, I don't think is going to get traded at the deadline. It does feel like the Titans front office wants him to be a Titan for life, and they don't think they're going to move him, no matter how like quick reactionary the owner has been. Calais Campbell could make a little bit of sense. The Ravens took a flyer on Kyle Van Noy. It's worked out a ton. Campbell's still playing at a fine level this late into his career. It should not cost you a lot for a Cardinals team that is most likely not making the playoffs. I would feel like that's going to make the most sense if the Ravens are still trying to go for it this year, despite their 1-5 start. But they are getting Lamar Jackson back. For the Buffalo Bills, trading for Calvin Ridley. I don't know, Jim. I don't know about that one. I don't think anybody should be trading for Calvin Ridley right now unless the Titans pay down the whole contract, because like Calvin Ridley's on cut watch at the end of the year. I would not be surprised if with Jerry Sneed and Calvin Ridley, a corner and receiver that the Titans have invested valuable assets in the trade market and free agency market, to acquire those two players, extend those players, and they have just been horrible. They've just been a flat-out disappointment. Maybe Ridley would be better in a different offensive system, different quarterback play. He'd be going from Cam Ward, who was one of the worst quarterbacks in the league this year, which is fine. He's a rookie. We didn't expect him to be a top 10 quarterback in the league. And it's also not really like the best environment for Cam Ward. To go into Josh Allen and one of the more high-powered offenses, I mean, that would be great for Calvin Ridley. I'd rather take a flyer on Calvin Ridley if he's cut. I'm not really paying what his salary is right now. I think Jacoby Myers would make a little bit more sense. I don't really think the Bills are going to go after a big name receiver. Like they mentioned Chris Olave. I don't think they're the team for that, even though they still kind of need that wide receiver one. It's been a little Shakir, been a little Keon Coleman, just a mixture of a bunch of different guys. Jerry Jeudy, Rashid Shaheed. Like out of all those guys, Shaheed may make the most sense, or Jacoby Myers, both guys that are free agent that really shouldn't cost you that much draft capital. Olave will cost you decent draft capital and an extension. Judy's just making a decent amount right now. I don't know if he would really cost that much draft capital. Jacoby Myers will probably cost a little bit more than Shaheed, but it's just like, do you want a Shaheed, like a downhill threat, when you have like your Josh Palmer of the world, you have your Khalil Shakir? I just don't know if that's really an option. Even like what Matt Collins was for you last year, maybe. But I would say Jacoby Myers is probably the most notable name here that I would like for Buffalo. Carolina trading Rico Dowdle to the Chargers. So yeah, some of these is them trading for a player or trading away a player. Yeah, selling high on Rico would probably be smart. Rico is on a one-year deal. Now, I don't know if their fantasy owners would really love this because Rico was on a tear for 2 weeks. Chuba Hubbard comes back. And then Rico was still like solid, like he looked the part in week number 8. And the Panthers are 5-3 on the season. Also, the Panthers are just not 5-3. They are 4-3. They might need a different editor for this article. But I think Vidal has looked fine for the Chargers. I think this article, I don't know, it said it was updated an hour ago, but Kimani Vidal was fine against the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think the Chargers, who are still expecting to get a Marion Hampton back this season, that, yeah, if you're giving up a 7th rounder for Rico Dowdle, sure, but I think having like a 2-man game in Carolina is good for a team that could make the playoffs for the first time in a while this season. David Njoku would not be a bad target for Bryce Young, though. I would like that. For Chicago, it's trading DJ Moore to an AFC East team between the Bills with Joe Brady, Patriots with Thomas Brown, and Jets with Scott Turner, all with ties to Moore's Panthers past. One team needs to free Moore out of Chicago so they can move on with the dynamic duo of Luther Burden and Rome Odunze. I agree. I think the Bears, I don't know, I would like for them to think about DJ Moore, but what if like Odunze or Burden gets hurt later in the year? Now you're going to wish you didn't trade away a premier pass catcher. That's been a wide receiver 1 in the past. He was a wide receiver 1 with you in the 2023 season with Justin Fields, and he hasn't been the best, at least in fantasy terms, or maybe production, with Caleb Williams, and there's a lot of mouths to feed in Chicago. So yeah, I would love to see him in Buffalo or New England, or a team where he's going to get, just not the Jets. The Jets should not be buying, but I think a team where he can be a clear 1, and you don't have like a 3-headed trio in target share. And even like Olamide Zaccheaus is getting a ton of targets this year for his specific role. It would be great. I don't know if Chicago, who's been good this year, 4-2 in a tough division, should trade away DJ Moore unless it's a good return. But for me, as like a dynasty DJ Moore fantasy owner, yeah, and I also own Luther Burden. So I would like to see DJ Moore become like a different number 1 somewhere else, and then Luther Burden can get more touches. Like, I don't know if DJ Moore would end up on the Giants. I'm definitely not going to end up on the Steelers. That one doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, I would like for the Bills to add a pass catcher, but I feel like they're a team that is just going to try to add a corner. They also mentioned that they could target Reek Woolen, Alontae Taylor from the Saints. So the Cincinnati Bengals, 3-4. I mean, Joe Flacco did kind of save their season on Thursday night. They could have been 2-5. They could have been just kind of down and out in the division. They're going to make a trade for Joel Bitonio. I mean, this one's funny because the Browns and the Bengals just made a trade, and I think after that Joe Flacco performance on Thursday night, the Browns are like, yeah, we're never trading with you again. It was like their first trade they made together in like 40 years. I mean, the owner of the Bengals used to be the owner of the Browns, Paul Brown, and that's why they named him the Browns, and they've removed him from the team. So there's some animosity there, and then the Bengals are still like a family-owned team from the Brown family. So I don't know if we would see another trade. I mean, this one would be a big pickup. Bitonio, who was blocking for Flacco in Cleveland, goes over to Cincy. I mean, Cleveland should think about trading their offensive linemen between Bitonio and Taylor, guys that are free agents at the end of the year. Now, you trade away these guys, Dylan Gabriel is not going to have a lot of time to throw, or Shedeur Sanders, who's ever the quarterback late in the year. But I would like to see the Bengals add an offensive lineman, because you needed one for Joe Burrow. Let's get one for Joe Flacco, because if you could just be 500 when Joe Burrow comes back. Maybe you get 2 or 3 weeks after Joe Burrow. Like 9-8 can get you into the playoffs in the AFC, or just like with the updated playoff amount with 7 teams making it. I mean, you could miss it at 9-8. Maybe you need to go 10-7, but at least have the best chance of getting you there, because I mean, you're getting prime receiving play out of Jamar Chase. I mean, Joe Burrow, how much longer is he going to stay healthy in this league when he even comes back? So they also target Hendrickson to get traded, Cam Taylor-Britt in a trade, Wyatt Teller, who I just mentioned, Kevin Zeitler. I mean, that could make sense too. I mean, the Titans should probably sell high if they can on Zeitler and Kayvon Thibodeau going forward. For the Browns, they would trade away Wyatt Teller to the Eagles. I think this is what I had in my trade video. I think it was Teller to the Eagles, or was Bitonio to the Eagles, one of them, and then the other one went to the Bucs. So I think this would be smart for the Eagles for sure. I mean, their run game has been very disappointing this year. It could come down on offensive coordinator schematics. It could come back on the offensive line this year, because I don't think it's all Saquon Barkley's fault, but maybe it's also them not running a ton of play action this year, not really having like a balanced offensive attack this season. And the Eagles have had some injuries, so I think getting a good veteran like Wyatt Teller would make some sense for an Eagles team that can for sure win the Super Bowl again this year. They just had another good win against the Minnesota Vikings on the road, beating their old quarterback Carson Wentz, and we know Howie Roseman can still make big deals when he wants to. Other notable players to watch: Joel Bitonio, makes sense, Devin Bush, Jerome Ford, Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku, and Shelby Harris. So yeah, this is all the Browns trading away those guys, but more so them getting assets from the Eagles for Wyatt Teller makes the most sense. For the Dallas Cowboys, trading for Max Crosby. So this one has been thrown around a ton. This has been a big rumor. The Raiders, I think, have shut this down, saying we're not trading away Max Crosby. We've seen teams do that in the past. And the Dallas Cowboys could be like, yes, they could have lost to the Packers. They could have beaten the Panthers, but I think they're fine where they are right now. 3-3-1 this season. Their offense has been one of the best in the NFL. You have a wide receiver 1 in CeeDee Lamb. You kind of have like a 1B in George Pickens. Javonte Williams has been way better than expected. Hopefully you get healthier towards the end of the season. Yeah, you need a pass rusher, because the secondary has been taking massive hits this year because nobody's getting to the quarterback. Now, it would be funny if you package like Kenny Clark and one of the Packers first for Max Crosby, and then you essentially traded Micah for Max Crosby in a first-round pick, which, when you look at it like that, isn't the worst in the world, but like Micah is better than Crosby, slightly in my opinion, and he's also a few years younger, which is huge in that aspect. But yeah, Max Crosby would make a lot of sense for Dallas, who could definitely not just like make the playoffs, they could still win the division this year. Like the Eagles are 5-2, they're 3-3-1. The tie could help them down the stretch. Now they did lose to the Eagles on the first night of the season, but they play them again. They'll be at home. Hey, maybe Dallas could win the division this year. Maybe Jerry Jones is going to be a little bit aggressive. Shelby Harris or Jermaine Johnson could make some sense as well. For the Denver Broncos, coming off a huge comeback win against the Giants, I think people would have had them on fraud watch if they didn't come back. They're going to make a trade for Joel Bitonio. I think like the Broncos aren't a perfect roster, but they don't have that many holes on their team. Like I love like Surtain in the secondary, Moss in the secondary. They drafted Jahdae Barron. They have solid safety play. I mean, maybe you'd like for the D line to be better, but you still have Allen. You have Nick Benito on the defensive line. You have guys that have maybe not been performing well to their standards, but I still think are going to be great towards the end of the season. You have Hufanga and Brandon Jones as your safety duo. I guess like you could add another receiver. They just have a hodgepodge of names after Cortland Sutton, but going after Bitonio could make sense for Denver. They could definitely improve the offensive line, because I like the running attack with JK and RJ Harvey this year. So yeah, they mentioned Bitonio, could make sense. And then Olave would be a big get, and Rashid Shaheed. I mean, they could use a guy like Rashid Shaheed with his with Bo Nix's deep ball, at least with Shaheed's breakaway speed. Olave makes more sense with like the Bo Nix timeline, and like Cortland Sutton getting a little bit up there in age. But not only do you have to give up like the highest draft capital for Olave, it may be a second. I don't think you have to give up a first. Maybe it's a third and a fourth. I don't know. But you also have a great, like you're going to have to give him maybe wide receiver 1 extension money. Like he's going to want a new deal when you trade for him. And with the market just kind of resetting itself and it's just going up and up, you may have to pay a pretty penny for Olave. And with his injury history, I don't know how teams feel about that. So Detroit, they're making a trade for Jalen Phillips. I would love to see them add another edge rusher. I know they've been linked to like Trey Hendrickson for a brief moment this season. They also mentioned Hendrickson, Jermaine Johnson, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Bradley Chubb. Out of all these guys, I feel like the last two are the most realistic. Now, Chubb, you got to work out the financials there, but you can eventually get off of that money before like Aiden Hutchinson's next contract kicks in. Kayvon Thibodeau was in the same draft as Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know if you're going to treat him like a rental, but I don't think he should cost too much from the Giants, especially if the Giants lose this weekend, which is definitely possible against the Philadelphia Eagles. I just don't see Phillips getting traded from Miami, in my opinion. I mean, I think as long as the Bengals can stay like close to the playoff picture, which they are technically right now, still early in the year. I don't think they're going to move Hendrickson. I think Jermaine Johnson could also be on the move as well. So we have the Green Bay Packers trading for Tariq Woolen. We know that like Jair Alexander's era ended. He's in Baltimore right now. I don't know if like secondary is the biggest need for them because I kind of like what Nixon has done this year, Valentine has done this year, Evan Williams and McKinney as your safety duo. But I guess adding another corner can't hurt. I mean, they only mentioned some corners here of acquiring Taylor or McCreary. I actually don't mind taking a flyer on Roger McCreary. Luke Musgrave could be a trade target as well. I don't know what team would want a tight end. I feel like the Chargers, who are a team to maybe go out and get a tight end, are definitely fine with Gadsden right now. So yeah, I don't know what the Packers are going to end up doing. And I feel like they're a team that really doesn't make big moves at the deadline regardless. For Houston, it's trading for Chris Olave. As much as I would like to see them get like another premier pass catcher, Christian Kirk has been banged up all year long. I feel like Higgins or Noel have not like had that breakout game yet, and Nico is still Nico. I feel like everything just comes down on the offensive line and the offensive coordinator for the Texans struggles this year. They haven't really had a consistent run game either between Marks or Nick Chubb. So as much as I would love to see Olave and Nico Collins for CJ Stroud going forward, you have to invest in this offensive line. They're paying guys defensively. You're going to have to pay Stroud soon. You're going to have to pay Will Anderson soon. You just paid Stingley. You're paying Daniel Hunter, who's not on like a long-term deal, but you would have to pay Chris Olave. And I don't know if this team should be giving up draft capital for Olave when, like I said, they need to invest in the offensive line. I don't know if you could trade for one, trade for Bitonio, a veteran, but you can more so just draft one with maybe the second rounder you have to give up for Olave, or you could sign one with the $20 million you may have to pay for Olave. They also mentioned Ridley, Shaheed, Bitonio, and Teller. I would like for them to add Bitonio and Teller. Not really sure if that fits their scheme, or like their running scheme right now, or just kind of their pass blocking scheme. But either way, O-line should be the main priority for Houston because that's what's making CJ Stroud go down and down since his rookie year. Ridley, that's a big no for me. Like Shaheed, if it's like a 5th round pick swap or you're giving up a 5th and you're getting like a 6th back or something, like sure, I would do that for Shaheed, but I just don't know if like wide receiver is the biggest priority for Houston right now. They also mentioned, yeah, we talked about those guys. So the Colts going for Trey Hendrickson. I've talked about this one before as well. I mean, this would be sick. The Colts, they're just like a carbon copy this year, in my opinion, of last year's Minnesota Vikings. An offensive-minded, I don't know if I want to call Shane Steichen a guru, but he might be, like Kevin O'Connell. A journeyman quarterback, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones. They both happen to come from a New York franchise. They were both supposed to finish at the bottom of their conference. Like the Vikings win total in 2024 projection was like 6 wins. They end up winning whatever it was, like 12, 13, 14. And then you also have, like, I don't know, it just feels like every single week you're supposed to lose. And I just remember betting against the Vikings every single week last year. They're not this legit. They're not for real. This is just a flash in the pan. And it was kind of like that with the Saints to start off last year's season. If you remember, they were like 2-2 and they had like they were 2-0. They had a really fun offense. And I just feel like the Colts, I'm not betting against them this year. I think the Colts are for real. Daniel Jones is healthy. He's confident. He's willing to throw the ball down the field. He's willing to kind of move around in the pocket. He's not scared. He's got better O-line play. I would like to see the Colts go for it. Now, would I take the Colts or the Chiefs in a playoff game? The Chiefs. Would I take the Colts or the Bills? The Bills. Would I take like the Colts or any other team right now? I think I may actually take the Colts over Pittsburgh, the Chargers, the Ravens if they get there, any other team. And you have Trey Hendrickson, who you can afford. You're probably going to have to pay a pretty penny for Daniel Jones, but I don't think it's going to be more than like Sam Darnold's contract or Baker's from a few years ago. Go out and get Trey Hendrickson. Extend Trey Hendrickson. You can have him and Layatu Latu as your edge rushers. Hell yeah. I mean, it would cost you a little bit less or a lot less to get Thibodeau. Phillips still may cost you a decent amount. Chubb, Taylor, Rick Woolen. But yeah, I would kind of love to see this team get Trey Hendrickson. It would be sick. I don't think Cincy's going to move him midseason. For Jacksonville, it's trading for Wyatt Teller, Andrew Wingard, Ezra Cleveland, could be trade candidates for them, and Joel Bitonio could be a trade target for them. So they swapped Tyson Campbell for Greg Newsome. I mean, this team definitely needs offensive line help. I wonder, like, what the Jaguars could have been this year if they just, I don't know, they didn't trade up for Travis Hunter, who's been good, right? But, like, they somehow got, I guess it would have been tough for them to get Will Campbell. They would have had to leave the Patriots. But, like, they took Armand Membu, and they just continued to protect Trevor Lawrence. Because, I don't know, man. I feel like they've just been disappointing again, or at least Trevor Lawrence has. And I don't know what you need to do at this point. Maybe it's the offensive line play. Maybe it's the running game. But, like, I don't know. Strange when he's healthy. Brian Thomas Jr. has been disappointing. Travis Hunter's kind of been used all over the place. I like Parker Washington, but he's just not getting a lot of opportunities with the mouths to feed in Jacksonville. I don't know how you make them better, and it might come down on offensive line play, and maybe that's what they should have addressed in the offseason. For Kansas City, it's going after Shelby Harris or Malik Collins or Kayvon Thibodeau or Bradley Chubb, just basically getting another edge rusher to help out Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. I mean, I've said I would like to see them grab a running back. Breece Hall, if he's going to be on the block, hell yeah, get Breece Hall in Kansas City for sure. Now, I'm excited this week for Isaiah Pacheco because he may get, like, he's coming off a strong week against the Raiders. Not like the most impressive team to have a strong week against, but there's probably going to be no Kareem Hunt. So I think this could be like a big week for Pacheco to show the front office, you don't need to trade for a running back. I could be your guy the rest of the year, or I could be like a 1A to Hunt 1B, and you don't need to give up assets for a Breece Hall or anybody like that that's on the trade market running back wise, or Alvin Kamara, whoever. Or he could be disappointing this week against the Washington Commanders, who are a little bit banged up, and you can, then maybe pivot to the running back trade market as well. But they haven't really addressing defensive line. For the Raiders, it's trading Jacoby Myers to the Patriots. I've mentioned that one as well. It would be a nice reunion, him in New England, and I'm all for getting Drake May another target. The Patriots could win the division this year. I do wonder if they would also go after maybe somebody on the defensive line, or try to get a little bit more O-line help. I would say another, like, it would be nice to improve the run game, but they're not playing Travion Henderson whatsoever. Ramondre Stevenson had a good game last week against the Saints. They also mentioned Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz here. But yeah, I would like to see the Patriots be aggressive, and it just sucks that the Raiders have to be sellers here at the deadline, because I was excited for them going to the year. They'd be a little bit competent, but Geno Smith has been bad. The O-line's been bad. The defense hasn't been great, and we're here right now with them being at the bottom of the AFC. For the Chargers, they are, and like, you go back on the Ashton Genty pick, don't hate it, but you really need to draft, like, you have to have a good enough offensive line for this incoming running back to succeed. We saw that with like Gibbs in Detroit, but I don't know. I guess like we saw that even with Hampton before, like all the Charger injuries. I think Genty will be fine next year. Like, Bijan wasn't amazing in his rookie year. Now that can come back on like Arthur Smith giving Algier so many carries, but like he's been getting better as the Falcons O-line's been better, and I think that could be the same for Genty. So I'm like not out on Genty at all. For the Chargers, it's trading for Breece Hall. I don't think so. Yeah, you're gonna give up like a fourth or a third. Maybe a day 2 pick for Breece Hall. I don't know. Like, the Jets may want to like re-sign him at the end of the year. Aaron Glenn likes to run the ball if he's still here next year. So I think the Jets may ask for a pretty penny for Breece, and then you'd have to extend him. I just don't think the Chargers at this point need to make a trade for a running back unless it's like a cheap guy out there, just because I like Vidal enough. I mean, Hassan Haskins is banged up right now. I mean, Hall is definitely better than Vidal, but is it worth giving up the draft capital when you know that you're going to get Hampton back? And now we have Hampton and Breece Hall. Does that really make a lot of sense going forward? Rico Dowdle, like, if Carolina was worse right now, sure. Like, I wouldn't mind going for Rico because I'm fine enough. Like, what you have to give up would be like a 6th or a 7th for Rico if the Panthers were bad, but they're not. So I don't think they're trading Rico. And Mark Andrews, I mean, it's another Harbaugh trade between the teams, and I think Andrews should get traded. I just think with Gadsden playing, you don't have to give up assets for Andrews. They mentioned the Rams going for Mark Andrews. The Rams threw a bunch of touchdowns in London, 2 tight ends over the weekend. Chiga Okonkwo as well as a target. I don't know. I don't mind Ferguson. You have Tyler Higbee. You have Colby Parkinson and like Davis Allen as a blocking tight end. I feel like at the Rams at this point, they don't really need another tight end at the moment. Like, they could be a sneaky running back team. Sneaky. For Miami, trading away basically Jalen Phillips to the Colts. If you can get a good offer for Phillips, or even maybe Minkah Fitzpatrick, probably not the idea though, or I don't know. I think I would just try to get rid of Bradley Chubb. You're going to need run stoppers next year. You could still keep developing Chop Robinson. I think Phillips will go back to his old form when he just gets, like, I think a little bit more acclimated. He's coming off a major injury, and you got to figure out just the defensive line in general. Like I said, I think we just move off of Chubb eventually. He probably will just get cut in the office. I don't know. He might. So Minnesota trading away TJ Hawkinson to the Rams. So the Vikings just lost again. They got blown out by the LA Chargers. Yeah, they don't look like the same team they were last year. They obviously, like, they made a big decision letting Sam Darnold walk, investing in JJ McCarthy in the offensive line, and they used some money on the defensive line, and they've just been bad this year, or bad relative to expectations. They've had some nice wins. They've had not really like a great win though. Like, I guess week 1 against the Bears was a solid win, division rival on the road, but like they beat the Bengals and the Browns this year. So I don't really know if they should buy other players to watch Kirk Cousins. Wouldn't that be ironic? For New England, trading for Jacoby Myers, we kind of already talked about that one. Olave, Shaheed, Woolen, and Taylor makes sense as well. I would like to see Myers in New England. I just think it's a cool story. I don't know if they actually pull the trigger on that. For the Saints, let's sell. I think you're 1-6. I think we have something in Rattler, and I think you have enough O-line help where it's not going to crater your offense if you do move on from an Olave or Shaheed. It looks like they're not trading away Kamara. I know it would be bittersweet to trade away Cam Jordan. I don't think they would. Like, sure, if you can get anything for Jawan Johnson or Taysom Hill, send him to like Denver. I don't know. I think you should move on from Shaheed. I would extend Olave. I think you should keep him in New Orleans. Unless a team like throws a first or high-end second at you, sure, then you think about it. But I think Olave is talented enough to be a wide receiver 1 in this league. As you get better quarterback play, he will be better. I just worry a little bit about the injuries. For the Giants, trading away Evan Neal, maybe acquiring Alontae Taylor, trading away Kayvon Thibodeau to the Ravens. I think they should trade away Thibodeau. I don't care if they think they can make the playoffs or not, but you have Burns, you have Carter, you have Lawrence. You can find rotational edge rushers as well later in the draft this upcoming offseason. We're not going to extend Thibodeau anyway. Might as well trade him. I mean, if you're a team that think you could fix Evan Neal, could he be the Mekhi Becton on the Eagles for you? Sure, they could trade for Evan Neal. And for the Giants, I wouldn't trade for like Olave, DJ Moore, unless it barely costs you anything, but I wouldn't mind them getting like, I don't know about a Shaheed because he's a free agent, but like maybe somebody with control where you can have like Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, and that guy going forward, just to give Dart another weapon. For the Jets, they should fire sale. Trading Breece Hall to the Steelers. As a Steelers fan, I never really thought about that. I don't think that's the Steelers' issue right now. I think the Steelers need to add a smart defensive coordinator. I mean, they're not adding anybody on the defensive line. Like Harmon, Benton, like these guys are locked in. Watt, Hayward, Herbig, Highsmith. I don't... the Steelers could add another linebacker if they're not sold on like Wilson and Queen, like, and they could look for more depth. I think they could look for another corner. I just think the Steelers need a better defensive game plan, and that's what's holding them back this year. I'm actually fine with the offense. If the Steelers were going to trade for somebody, and we'll get to them, it should be for a receiver. But Jermaine Johnson and Quincy Williams, yeah, the Jets might actually do a fire sale. Wyatt Teller to the Eagles or Bitonio or Zeitler. We talked about that before. Could be a good veteran guard trade market. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind like the Steelers getting Roger McCreary. I would actually really like that from the Titans. I think taking a flyer on him could be worth it. Taylor, sure. Reek Woolen, maybe. But I would advise the Steelers not to trade for Breece Hall. Whatever you're going to get out of Caleb Johnson, whatever this year, but I don't mind Gainwell and Jalen Warren. The Steelers run game has been fine this year. The Steelers offense has been fine outside of like secondary receiver help. You have like 3 tight ends, maybe 4. Yeah, you count Connor Hayward. The Steelers do not need to trade for a running back. The Niners getting Bradley Chubb. Yeah, Bryce Huff recently just got hurt. You're out with Nick Bosa for the season. Fred Warner, the linebacker's out for the year as well. You're 5-2. Mac Jones has been giving you amazing backup quarterback help. I would go after an edge rusher. Chubb probably costs you the least out of like the realistic guys. Like, I don't think they're getting Hendrickson. Thibodeau could be intriguing because of his youth, but like, you're going to have to pay him a decent amount. I don't even know like Chubb's financial hit to them right now. So that's just like interesting for a team that is now paying Brock Purdy like $50 million a year. And Shanahan's probably looking, you know what? Mac Jones isn't much worse than Purdy, and he's going for $40 million less than what Purdy's costing us right now. For Seattle, it's trading Reek Woolen to the Cowboys. That could make sense. I mean, Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs, Kyrie Elam, like all these guys have been all over the place this year. Hooker as well. Take a flyer on Woolen, I think, for the Cowboys. Anybody on the defensive side can only help them, you would think. And then Seattle also adding a David Njoku, Jawan Johnson, or Rashid Shaheed. I don't really think Seattle needs another receiver. I know Kupp doesn't look like the same as he did in the past. That's not surprising. I kind of like Torrey Horton a lot. JSN might win Offensive Player of the Year. Yeah, like I would take a flyer on like a Rashid Shaheed if he doesn't cost you much, but I don't really think they need to add a receiver. Tight end wise, I love AJ Barner. I think he's the franchise tight end there. So like, I'd rather give up a 7th for Jawan Johnson or whatever it's going to cost you than giving up like a 5th for David Njoku at this point, because I do like Barner a ton. Tampa Bay trading for Calvin Ridley. What? That is disgusting. Why? They need to add an offensive lineman this year. I wouldn't even mind like another defensive player, maybe on the defensive line, just with like Kancey out for the year. I hate that. I mean, yes. Well, I guess Mike Evans is out for the year, and Emeka's had his injuries. Godwin was hurt to start off the year. McMillan's had his injuries. I think I'd rather see them add a tight end. I talked about Mark Andrews in my trade video. I think that one makes a little bit more sense. Oh yeah, getting Zeitler or Teller. I also talked about that as well. And then the last 2 teams, Tennessee trading away Jeffrey Simmons to the Bears. I mean, Ryan Poles has made a big trade before for a defensive lineman at the deadline. Montez Sweat a couple years ago. Could we see it again? I mean, the Bears could make the playoffs. They could win a playoff game. Who knows? I don't hate that, but like, will the Titans actually trade him away? Tony Pollard I don't know. DeAndre Swift looked pretty good last week. I don't know if they would want to trade for a running back, and you still have Kyle Monaghan. I mean, Pollard's not going to cost you really anything. Like, yeah, I guess Pollard will cost you way less than like what Breece Hall would go for. Calvin Ridley, trading him away. McCreary, or no, actually, this is not all for the Bears. Sorry, this is trading all these guys away, which they probably should. And then Washington trading for Justin Fields. I mean, it's hilarious to see that just because of how bad Fields has been this year. But I guess I could see the vision only because, like, this isn't wild. Yeah, Fields won't cost you much, but I mean, I guess you could just waive Fields at the end of the year, cut him. Jaden Daniels has been banged up a ton this year. Now you're questioning with him and his injury history in the past and him taking big hits. Can we trust him to be healthy down the stretch this year? We're already 3-4. What if Mariota gets hurt? Mariota could take some big hits as well. Mariota wasn't great against the Cowboys last week, but he's had like a good game against the Raiders this year, right? Fields, at least running quarterback like Mariota at times and like Jaden Daniels, you can kind of keep the same offensive scheme and you don't have to change too many things with Fields. So I see the vision, but it's just hilarious to see Justin Fields with how he's been this year on the 0-7 Jets as a trade target, and then Tariq Woolen here as another player to watch. So that is going to be for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. That was pretty much like one trade target or one trade idea for every single NFL team. Let me know if you like the one for your team or you disliked it down below. Maybe you have some other trade ideas that you wish I talked about or this person came up with. Let me know that down below as well. Drop a thumbs up if you guys did enjoy. Subscribe for more trade deadline content. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.